Hi everyone, it's Kim from Carolina Sewing Back. I've got something exciting to talk to you about today. In the year 2021, we've announced that we're going to do some classes that you'll be able to purchase like on a DVD type form. We're looking at other ways to put these on USBs and also to be able to directly email those to you so that you can view them and back them up and watch them as many times as you need to get the project done. So it brings me right into your home and I'm excited to do that. I've got a couple of these done now. It's taken quite a bit of time, so you guys just be patient with us, but I'm so excited because this is our very first one that we're bringing to you. It's the Turtle Softie. It's a great little turtle pattern and I know you'll really enjoy it. It's a little bit beyond beginners, but not too much, so I do think that even if you've got a new sewer, this is a great project for you guys to do together, that you can get someone else involved in sewing and pass that talent and that craft and that creative ability down to the next generation. And so you can purchase those at our store, and I wanted to give you like a little commercial today on the Turtle Softie and show you the method behind some of what we're doing. If you've stitched with me before, then you know that I do a method called stitching on the edge. I love this method because I think that it makes everything so much it makes it easier, number one, but it also makes all your projects turn out nicer. Your ironing, your pressing, all that stuff, it just comes out much, much nicer with this method. And the way that it works is you first take your pattern pieces and you'll cut those out just like you normally would with any pattern. And you trace them on the fusible fleece. And I'm using a fusible fleece today by Pellon. This is actually 987F. So 987F by Pellon is one that I'm using for this one today. I like this fusible fleece. There are others on the market as well. It's fusible on one side, very important. You only want to get the one that's fusible on one side. And once you've got your pattern pieces cut out, you'll want to trace your pattern pieces onto your fusible and then cut your pattern piece out of that fusible fleece. You're then going to take your fusible fleece and I want you to iron it down on your fabric. So you'll notice that on this, what we're doing is we're cutting our pattern pieces out of our fleece, and then we do not have to cut our fabric right away. So to me, this is nice. It's easy. You're not always pulling on a curve, worried about the bias and that type of thing. You're just going to simply take your fusible fleece piece, press it on to your pattern, press your fusible fleece pattern piece onto your fabric that you desire, and then you're going to take and just put right sides together. For instance, I've got this one done like this, and you're going to pin it and you'll stitch for me just like the pattern specifies. So with this one we just stitched all the way around. Now this is what's important. So our stitching on the edge method means that we want you, this is perfect stitching, to stitch in the fabric only, off the edge right up to the edge of the fusible fleece. If you stitch into the fleece a little bit, it's okay. You just don't want to do that a lot, because what gives you a great effect, what gives you a really nice piece when you're done, is when your stitching falls right off the edge of that and dives into the fabric only. So the next step would be, you're putting those pieces on there, pinning right sides together, and you're stitching just like you normally would. And then once that is done, you'll have a piece that looks like this. And so I stitched this in black so you could kind of see. I want to come up close a little bit, so I want to have the opportunity to show you. That's perfect right there. See how it's coming not into the fleece, but right on the edge of the fabric? And see right there, I even am a little bit away from my pattern piece. It's still a smooth curve, so it's perfectly fine. We come on around. And that looks really good. Everything looks good right here. And that's what you're shooting for. Now, like I said, if you come into your fusible fleece a little bit and you stitch onto that, no worries, it's still going to be fine. I mean, you don't want to stitch over here, but if you're just grabbing just that edge a little because you couldn't help it, it's okay, it's still going to turn nice. Now, the great thing is once this is done like this, then you're going to take your scissors and you're going to trim about 1/4 of an inch all the way around the edge. You can trim 1/4 of an inch, you can do 1/2 an inch, you can do whatever you want to at this point, but it's a fast, easy method. And then you're going to flip that out for me. And so this is actually a flipper. So it was at this point here, and we've stitched it and we flipped it out, and see, I haven't even pressed this or anything, and you can see how nice this turns because of the fusible fleece, because that fleece pushes it to the edge for you, and that's what does it. And then on your flipper, then I want you to do some top stitching on there for me, and I just used the edge of my foot as a guide around the foot, and I just top stitched. And what that's going to do is that's going to give your flipper some quilted effect, and it just makes it a lot more interesting and really, really pretty. So this stitching on the edge method, let me just take you through that again. You're just going to take your pattern pieces and you're going to trace your pattern pieces on your fusible fleece. You're going to take your fusible fleece, cut it out, fuse it to your fabric pieces. You're going to sew your fabric pieces. You're going to trim those. You're then going to flip those, do any top stitching that's necessary, and you're ready to go. Now this is a front flipper and a back foot, and so these are one of the first things you're going to do in the pattern to get it going. And this back foot has a little bit of stuffing in there, and so you're going to want to stuff that kind of soft and loose. We're not going to put too much stuffing in there. And I've done a fusible fleece layer on one side of the fabric only. That's important. We're not doing two. Remember, we're only going to do the one side, and then place right sides fabric together and stitch. And all you need is that one layer of the pellon to give it that nice shape and pushes it out. Now another thing about this pattern that I wanted to share with you, this is the pattern piece for the outer shell portion right here, and this portion goes right on the outside of the shell and gives it nice shape. But as you can see, this is your little strip, and so every edge that you're working with on this is a bias edge, and it's only like a little over an inch wide. And so the first time I did this, I really struggled to get it to stay in place and have the look that I wanted and the smooth curve. And so I quickly realized after the first one, and I scrapped that really what you need to do is there's some preparation before this. So what I want you to do is you'll cut that pattern piece out just like I instructed you before. You will not sew. You will not have fusible fleece in this piece at all. We don't need it. We're only going to cut this out of fabric only. But what you will do is once you've cut this out, as it's instructed in the pattern, follow your directions, except you're going to heavily prep your fabric with a heavy starch before you even cut your pattern piece out. And I love best press when I am doing my quilting and my piecing, but for projects like this, I like a really, really nice heavy starch. I want to get my cottons from my quilt shops to be almost as stiff like a home deck fabric, and that way it makes it so easy when you're dealing with those curves. So once you've got that heavily starched and it's cut out, you're just going to place right sides together and you're going to run a seam 1/4 of an inch around the edge of this right here. Okay, so you'll follow your directions just like normal for that, because this is what you're going for. This is your band, and you can see that the entire piece is nothing. It's just a circle. It's an oval by the time you're done, and so it gets wonky and it gets difficult to handle if you do not have the starch in there. But with the starch in there, it's very stiff and easy to work with. When you get ready to put this onto your turtle shell, it really brings your turtle to life, and there is a lot of pinning involved. And so you want these pieces to be as manageable as possible on this. And so this is just a little example of some of the techniques that I will teach you and show you in your class to make sure that you end up with a project that is just wonderful and great. And so I hope you'll consider buying one of our Turtle Softie classes, and this is your guide when it's all done. And I teach you a method to do for the yo-yo eyes on this, so you have some dimensional eyes. And this is the band we were just talking about. The flippers give a new sewer an opportunity to not only sew their pattern pieces, but also do some top stitching quilting. It's always fun. That's that black back flipper, and we've got that stuffed, and this is all stuffed, and it's just a great fun little project. It's easy to do for me. I've done 7 of these so far, and I just love sewing them. They also lend themselves nicely to monogram or embroider. You can do that on the flipper before or after, and also on the shell, but you'd have to do that embroidery before, of course. And so I just love this. It makes for a pillow. You can use it as a huge pin cushion. The kids love it. Everybody in my household just fights over these. So I just love this Turtle Softie. I hope you'll rush into the store or give us a call, purchase one of our patterns, and like I said, it comes on a DVD that's yours to keep, and you can watch it over and over and over. I give you some quick, easy directions on there, and I also make sure that you know exactly what to buy. Of course, my instructions are going to differ from the author's a bit, so you're going to shop for everything just the way she says, and we'll use her pattern pieces, but we'll be using my method. And it's so fun. It's easy. It gives me an opportunity to see you guys and connect with you. It's been over a year, and so happy 2021. Buy lots of patterns from Carolina's Sewing Vac. It's Kim. So great talking to you.